Hi my friends! Hi! Welcome to our channel English with Alexander and welcome to our new course English vocabulary practice. Lots of practice and exercises for you. You can put a like if you haven't done it yet. So lesson 1. So what do you need to do? You need to say the opposite word. Opposite. Look, the book isn't interesting. It's very... So what's the opposite word? Interesting. And the opposite word is boring. So it's very boring. The book isn't interesting. It's very boring. Next. He isn't hardworking. He's very hardworking. The opposite word is lazy. He is very lazy. They aren't rich. They're very rich and poor. They're very poor. Good. Let's revise it. Interesting. Boring. The book isn't interesting. It's very boring. Hardworking. Lazy. He isn't hardworking. He is very lazy. Rich. Poor. They aren't rich. They're very poor. Next. This method isn't effective. It's so effective. And what's the opposite word? It's ineffective. So it's so ineffective. Remember, we say ineffective. So ineffective. Next. This thing isn't important. It's important and unimportant. This thing isn't important. It's unimportant. He isn't married. He's married. So if a person is one, we say single. He isn't married. He is single. He isn't single. And it's also possible maybe to say divorced. Divorced. But we say single. Okay, so you see our explanations. Effective means not. So ineffective means not effective. So you can say not effective. Not effective is ineffective. Or not important is unimportant. Okay? I hope you understand it. So we explain it with its meaning. So effective and ineffective. Good. This method isn't effective. It's so ineffective. Important, unimportant. This thing isn't important. It's unimportant. Married, single. He isn't married. He is single. Or he is divorced. Okay, just remember ineffective, unimportant. You need to remember it. Okay, my friends, what's next? So, Her accent isn't natural. It's natural. The opposite word, unnatural. It's unnatural. Her accent isn't natural. It's unnatural. Next. It isn't near. It's very near and far. It's very far. It isn't near, it's very far. What a beautiful place. Beautiful. Do you know the opposite word? Beautiful. Ugly. How will you say it? How will you say the full sentence? What? Can you continue? Without mistakes, of course. What? What an ugly. What an ugly place. So you need an. So it's a vowel sound. Vowel sound. Ugly, vowel sound. What an ugly place. We aren't losing. We're lose and win. We're winning. Double N. Just remember it. Double N. We aren't losing, we're winning. Okay. Natural, unnatural. Her accent isn't natural. It's unnatural. Near, far. It isn't near. It's very far. Beautiful, ugly. What a beautiful place. What an ugly place. So vowel sound. Lose, win. We aren't losing. We are winning. Good. This verb isn't regular. It's regular and irregular. It's irregular. Irregular. For example, go, went, gone. This verb is irregular. It has irregular forms. Next, this thing isn't expensive. It's very expensive. It's very cheap. It's very cheap. And one more word. Okay, what prefix is possible to use before expensive? Okay, what prefix? Unexpensive, maybe disexpensive, expensive. So what is possible to say? Do you know it? Inexpensive. For example, you can say it's inexpensive, or it's inexpensive, or it's cheap. inexpensive, or cheap. It's possible. Remember, cheap and inexpensive. Good. It isn't the best thing. So, the best. The best and the worst. It's the worst thing. It's the worst thing. Okay. Regular, irregular. This verb isn't regular. It's irregular. Go, went, gone. Expensive, cheap, inexpensive. This thing isn't expensive. It's cheap. It's inexpensive. The best, the worst. It isn't the best thing. It's the worst thing. He isn't a strong student. He is a strong and what? Weak. Okay, how will you say it? He is a weak student. He is a weak student. He isn't a strong student. He is a weak student. Next, I don't think it's an advantage. It's mostly, it's an advantage, or you can say it's a plus. It's a plus. It's a plus, or it's a positive thing. Okay? It's a positive thing. An advantage, positive, good thing. It's mostly what? Advantage. The opposite word is disadvantage. Disadvantage. Okay? So what will be here? It's mostly okay? It's mostly a disadvantage. My friend, maybe you forgot about this article. Please don't forget about it. Don't forget about articles. We have it here. So it's a vowel sound. And so we need to use a here. So d, d, d. It's a consonant sound. Consonant. Consonant sound. It's mostly a disadvantage. Okay. He isn't stupid. He is very stupid. He is very clever. He is very clever. And it's possible to say one more word. Smart. 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 He is very smart. Okay, we usually say clever. He is very clever. Okay, my friends, so you see, strong and weak. He isn't a strong student. He is a weak student. Advantage and disadvantage. I don't think it's an advantage. Or it's a plus. It's a positive thing. It's mostly a disadvantage. It's a consonant sound. D, consonant sound. And a, it's a vowel sound. Advantage, advantage. Stupid, clever, smart. He isn't stupid. He is very clever. He is very smart. His level isn't high. It's very high and low. It's very low. His level isn't high, it's very low. He isn't right. He's right and wrong. He is wrong. He isn't right. He is wrong. It's also possible to say he is mistaken. He is mistaken. Remember this phrase. He is mistaken. He is mistaken. So we say to be mistaken. To be mistaken. Okay? For example, I think you are mistaken. I think you are mistaken. So I think you are wrong. Or I think you aren't right. Good. It isn't possible. It's possible and impossible. It's impossible. It is impossible or it's impossible. I know that in Spanish it sounds posible or imposible. Posible or impossible. So as possible or it's possible. Or as impossible, it's impossible. Very easy to remember it. Possible and impossible. Okay, so high and low. His level isn't high. It's very low. Right and wrong. He isn't right. He is wrong. He is mistaken. To be mistaken. I think you are mistaken. Possible and impossible. It isn't possible. It's impossible. It isn't a good idea. It's such good and bad. It's such. Please continue. It's such a bad idea. Don't forget about articles, yeah? Don't forget about it. It's very important. A bad idea. Like here, a good idea, a bad idea. It isn't a good idea. It's such a bad idea. Next, we won't say it in the beginning. You see, we'll say it. So see, in the beginning. Beginning and end. We'll say it in the end. We'll say it in the end. Good. His level isn't advanced. His level is advanced. It's a very good, a very strong level. The opposite level is elementary. Elementary. His level is elementary. His level is elementary. And maybe also possible beginner. Beginner. But we usually say advanced and elementary. His level isn't advanced. His level is elementary. Good. Good. Bad. It isn't a good idea. It's such a bad idea. Beginning. End. We won't say it in the beginning. We'll say it in the end. Advanced. Elementary. his level isn't advanced. His level is elementary. Or his level is beginner. He isn't free. He is very free and busy. He is very busy. He isn't free, he is very busy. It isn't legal, it's illegal and what? And illegal. Remember, if you have L in the beginning, you need illegal. Remember, it's illegal. It's illegal. And also, my friend, remember, if you have R in the beginning, you need irregular. Remember, yeah, these rules with R and with L. Good. It's illegal. Next, they don't do it legally. They do it legally and so you see L in the beginning. Illegally. They do it illegally. Illegally means against the law. Against the law. Good. Free. Busy. He isn't free. He is very busy. Legal. Illegal. It isn't legal. It's illegal. Legally. Illegally. They don't do it legally. They do it illegally. Or against the law. I don't agree with him. I agree and disagree. So you can say I disagree with him. I don't agree with him. I disagree with him. The temperature isn't above 0. It's, so you see above 0. Above means more than 0. The opposite word is below. Below. So above. More. Below. Less. Or lower. Lower. So you'll say it's, the temperature isn't above 0, it's below 0. It's below 0. This car isn't new. It's very new and old. It's very old. This car isn't new. It's very old. Agree. Disagree. I don't agree with him. I disagree with him. Above, more. Below, less, lower. The temperature isn't above 0. It's below 0. New. Old. The car isn't new. It's very old. This driver isn't careful. He is so careful or full of care. Full of care. The opposite word is, so what will mean without care? Without care. What will mean? Careless. Careless. Without care. Full. You see one L means full of, and careless, less, means without care or without concentration, without concentration, without attention, so not a good driver. This driver isn't careful, he's so you need this opposite word, and you'll say he's so careless. He's so careless. The driver isn't careful, he's so careless. And one more, in this lesson. You didn't understand me. I think you understand, and the opposite word is miss. Understand. Okay, say it and use the correct tense. You see past simple here, and you also need to use past simple. Okay, so I think you misunderstood me. This verb is irregular. Misunderstand, misunderstood, misunderstood. You didn't understand me? I think you misunderstood me. Careful, full of care, careless, without care, without concentration, without attention. This driver isn't careful. He is so careless. Understand, misunderstand. You didn't understand me. I think you misunderstood me. Or maybe you can say you didn't understand me correctly. I think you misunderstood me. Okay, my friends, I really hope you like this course and this idea of vocabulary practice and vocabulary exercises. I really hope that you enjoy these kind of lessons.